Hey, what's up, y'all? This is the Art Mentor. My name is Sean. I'm a veteran art teacher and freelance artist. And today we're going to continue this lovely drawing of this Viking docking village. And our theme today is 2-point perspective. Now, if you're a complete newbie to this topic, then definitely go back and watch my other videos on this, especially the one before this, because this is a continuation of that. And you need to know your basic skills and concepts in order to proceed forward. Now, let's pick up where we left off. So in the last video, we ended by making these circular rounded pillars, and that's exactly where I'm going to pick up from today, and we're going to launch right into it. Now, as a general forward, as we go into today's video, I'm going to be moving a little faster, a little quicker. So if you're feeling lost and left behind, just remember this is a multi-part series on how to draw anything in 2-point perspective, specifically for concept art, environment art, illustration, as well as how to put your characters into backgrounds. So here's where we left off last time. Yeah, next up here, let's go ahead and let's put a nice big huge door here. Just like we did here, again, we start off with the vertical lines, and then we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna show the depth a little bit, and then we're gonna show how does that door split. So watch me do this. And in this step, I'm gonna mix it up a little bit and make it a more interesting looking door. Now, remember that when you create your orthogonal lines, you're gonna go to the right vanishing point because that is where the rest of the face of the building goes. And also when you pull those lines down to show where the depth of the door frame is, make sure that it is not too far down because it is pretty far away. You're not going to see it that obviously. Also make sure that the right side of the door frame is much thinner than the left side because of perspective. Okay, now let's switch this up. Let's say instead of doing a square door frame, I want to go ahead and make a rounded one, right? So we're going to utilize this as our structure for it because we always want to start off everything in perspective as some kind of rectangle, and then we can stylize it from here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this just to make a curve within that shape. Boom, boom. Okay, now just give you a good idea of how that curve should function between here and where my ruler is right now for that other side. That's where that curve should exist. Now I can go ahead and I can erase this stuff too. So now you can see what that curvature is supposed to look like. And now I'm gonna repeat that curvature for the frame as well. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to recreate the depth on this, showing both the inside left corner and the outside left corner. So as you're doing this, remember that we're only going to see a little tiny bit of that frame on each of the left sides. I actually noticed I don't need to do the bottom of the frame on the right side of the frame because it basically just runs into the roof line from our kind of middle ground house. Also, you'll notice that when I go ahead and I make the orthogonal line for the top of the door frame, what I do is I line that up to where's the peak of it, and I create that orthogonal line just to show how the curvature blends into it. So this is how we create a curved door frame. So now the next step, let's add some windows onto here. And I want to show you some really key important things you need to make sure you do whenever you do windows. So what you're going to want to do is start off windows by creating the orthogonal lines in 2-point perspective. So you'll notice there's a couple here, there's one here. This is going to get cut off by that overhang a little bit. There's another set here. There's a big long set right above the roof on this main building. There's also one on the left side. Now again, just look at the face and you'll be able to determine where do these go. All right, so these go here, these go here, these go to the right, these go to the left. It's pretty simple to figure out. Now another thing is that you kind of want to think about how windows that are closer to you are going to be bigger as opposed to the ones that are further away like this. So go ahead and do that and then join me for the next step. Now let's talk about the windows up on this back building here. They are in a line, and I also did it back here, but just to explicitly make this known, what you want to do is whenever you have windows that are going to be in a line and there are multiple windows, don't just draw one at a time because they're all going to be out of alignment. So that's why I made these big long sets of lines in all these places so that I made sure that when I create 2 windows here, and I'm going to make 3 windows up here, I just have to make the vertical lines, make sure that they're bigger closer to you and smaller as they recede back into space. And then this way, it's going to make it really easy to make this look 3-dimensional, and it's also going to make sure that they're going to be in alignment. So watch me do that. All right, so for the next step here, now go ahead and erase all these excess orthogonal lines that we no longer need. Hey, if you want to see more content like this, definitely help me out by hitting that like button, subscribe, and turning on that notification bell so that you know whenever I push out more content like this. And also, if you happen to follow this, I definitely want to see it. So tag me on Instagram or Twitter. You can go ahead and see all my info right down here. Now, let's continue. All right, now for the next step here, we need to create a window frame for this. So I'm just simply going to repeat everything I just did very quickly so that I can show some depth on that. I am going to reel back a little bit from making these 2 3-dimensional for a preceding step on. All right, so now that I've added all the frames on, again, just like the door, I need to show how far back do they go and show some depth on it, because again, these windows aren't just gonna be boom, stuck into a wall. So now, let me go ahead and do that. Again, all you have to do is take a look at each corner and say, okay, there's a vertical line to the left, I go. Here's a vertical line to the right, I go. Here's a vertical line to the left, here's a vertical line to the right. So watch me do this, and feel free to rewind this and do that as many times as you need to, just to get this one right. But it's pretty simple. As you're gonna be going about this, and as I'm showing you everything in this tutorial, one thing I constantly wanna show you is how you do a lot of really intricate things, really simplistically, just so that you have a really solid grasp on this. And I feel like this is a set of skills and a set of concepts that not a lot of people learn, or if you're in school right now, if you're a student, or when you were a student, if you remember doing this kind of stuff, right? Your teachers might not have gone over this, but I really like to go over this kind of stuff because I think it's really important that you know not just how to do this in an ultra simple format, but how to evolve it. And I want to teach you this again for like illustration and concept art, and so that when you do characters, you can do backgrounds that are believable, they're not weird, they're not chintzy, they're not too simplistic, and you can apply it to literally whatever you want. So that's my foci on here, and that's why I want to show you how to do little things like just making these look a little bit more 3-dimensional, make it look so much better in the end. All right, now let's continue. All right, so in my next step here, what I'm gonna notice is that since I've painstakingly gone through and shown you how to do so many nice 3-dimensional elements here, I definitely wanna show if this is floating on water, like how is this house being supported right here? So I'm gonna show some 3D abilities on these beams right here. So what I wanna do is I wanna show kind of the outward beams like this that would be sitting here and here. Now again, this is below the horizon line, so I am gonna see a little bit of an edge here and right here, and then I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna create this beam. All right, again, if you ever get lost, just look at where's the face going so you know where to make your orthogonal lines. So they're gonna go here, and for this one, they're gonna go over to the right. All right, so you notice that I not only did it for these houses, but I decided to do it for these kind of wooden walkways as well. That's what this is, that's what this is. That's for the porch that we did right over here. That's for that back building that's gonna happen up over there. All right, great. Now, I wanna go ahead, I wanna evolve a little bit of this because I feel like there's a lot of dead space here and here. So let's add some structures on in there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make kind of the start of a second story here, and I'm gonna make kind of a lookout turret happening right here. I think that'll be cool. So follow along with me. I'm gonna start with some orthogonal lines. For this one, I'm gonna start with a vertical line for right here since I'm gonna see the entirety of it. Here we go. So now, as you're gonna be detailing up this right side, essentially what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create just the top story here, and I'm also gonna create a roof overhang as well. Now that roof overhang, you're pretty much only gonna see the bottom of it. Again, it's a very forced perspective because your horizon line is so low. Yeah, you're gonna see a lot more of the underneath of it than a lot of the other elements we've done so far. I'm also gonna do a window complete with the underhang of it. And then what I also decided to do, just to fill up some more space in between this right building and the middle building, is I said, go ahead and create a chimney there. So just simply go ahead by creating a vertical line, matching up the left and the right side. And then I also, again, want to show, hey, what's that overhang look like on top of a chimney? Because it never just goes up straight, like it's just a straight kind of rectangular shape. It has its own depth to it as well. So now, on top of the main large building, in the middle, we're gonna go ahead and create kind of a lookout watchtower. This is gonna be complete with an open space towards the middle top that like guards or something would be standing in. And then as well, it's just gonna have a roof, it's gonna have a rail, and it's gonna have a main platform. And it's gonna have a lot of 3D elements with everything that I just described here. So you are gonna see me do quite a bit to that in order to pull off that effect effectively. All right, so you're gonna have to do quite a bit of lines. And again, just don't get confused on it. Just imagine it and start off as just a rectangle in perspective. So you make a vertical line, left goes left, right goes right, and then you're just gonna follow and repeat that again for anything that we're gonna see the bottom. And again, whenever you see anything that is gonna show the bottom of it, you just start to reverse the vanishing points that you're connecting it to. But just to highlight a few things that are happening here, this is the underside, just because I think that this is kind of a more complex structure compared to what we've done before. But right here, this is going to be the underside of the roof. We don't really see the peak of the roof because in my mind, this would just come to a point. So therefore I don't see it because it's so far above the horizon line. We also see into the bottom of it. We see the bottom of these rafters here and here. I would also see some right there. I'll add that in a little bit later. Imagine that these are going to be not square, but rounded pillars holding this up. So I'm not really needing to do anything depth wise with that. And I don't see the other side, which would be right here because it's behind all that. Okay, so that's what you want to go ahead and do for that. And if it doesn't look right, you know, go ahead and just rewind me. And again, I'm trying to show you how to do all this stuff step by step like this, and it's just a repetition of everything you've learned so far so that you can apply it to whatever you need to do in whatever scenario that comes your way. So now that I've gone ahead and shown you all the structural elements of this, it needs some design in it because this doesn't really have an identity yet. It doesn't really have a lot of creativity to it. It's just a lot of structures, but this is nonetheless important because you need to do this first. Now, what I'm going to go ahead is speed up this video a lot. You can watch me kind of finish this off. I said I'm going to make this look like a Viking village. Now, I'm going to make it look like a Viking village. Here I go. So at this point, I do want to explain a few things, a few very specific decisions I made when I was making this video that are really crucial for you to know and understand for yourself as you are going to be creating your backgrounds for your concept art, your environment art, for your illustrations, or for your backgrounds. First and foremost on here is that the exact placement of my vanishing points, they're too close together. And I want you to understand that that is strictly so that you can understand this from a more beginner to intermediate level, how this works. But I wanted to give you an applicable scenario in order to put all this to use. Now, in future videos, I am going to go over where you should place this to make this look more natural, that's more observable. But this is the foundational basis of it that you need to know and you need to understand it and need to be able to execute on, because if you can do this, you can do it in a multitude of other scenarios for yourself as well. And the best part about how we're doing about all this is that you can literally apply this to anything. Now, I made this a Viking dock village, but I could also easily turn this into more of a Japanese fishing village. I could turn it into some kind of Middle Eastern Moroccan area. I could make this look like some type of Aborigine village as well. I could make this look like it's some type of sci-fi city that's like on the water or in outer space. Like there are an infinite number of possibilities that I could do with this one single artwork. But again, it all starts right here from the basics. Once you have those basic structures put in, just like I showed you how to do throughout this video, yeah, then you can go ahead and stylize it however you'd like to. And that's the main focus of this video, is to show you specific areas that you need to know and understand how to do in two-point perspective, so that when you are going to be creating your own concepts and your own environments and your own backgrounds for those illustrations and characters, so that they're not just floating in air anymore, is that you can go ahead and apply that as immediately as possible. All right, so at this point I've arrived at a pretty good result of what I want. I honestly took way more time than I intended to. I took about 45 minutes just to get it to this stage because I just wanted to give it some type of character identity. Because again, if you're gonna use two-point perspective to draw anything, then you wanna give it some type of purpose, some type of function, and definitely to have some fun with it. And that's what I hope that y'all get, and you can literally apply all of this that we learned about today in any type of environment, any type of concept design that you want. Now, I'd love to see anything that y'all made and how you follow along with this. And if you want to learn how to be a better artist and continue to improve your perspective drawings, make sure that you watch these videos right here.